Hi everyone, Unit 3 Measurement, Section 2, Measurement. Okay, so this is Chapter 1 in your textbook. So there's a few curriculum outcomes for this chapter that I need to make you aware of. Okay, so you are going to develop spatial sense and proportional reasoning. You're going to do this by solving problems that involve linear measurement using SI and imperial units of measure, estimation strategies, measurement strategies. You're going to apply a proportional reasoning to problems that involve conversions between SI and imperial units of measure. And you will solve problems using SI and imperial units that involve surface area and volume of 3D objects, including right cones, right cylinders, right prisms, right pyramids, and spheres. Okay, awesome. So here's a checklist of all the things you have to do for this section. Okay, so you should have done your measurement pre-assessment already. If you haven't, please press stop or pause and go and do that now. Make sure you show your teacher when you're done so they can release the answer key for you. Okay, after that, there are 6 parts to this chapter. So part 1 is imperial measurements of length. Then part 2 is relating SI and imperial units. Part 3 is the surface area of right pyramids and cones. Part 4 is the volume of right pyramids and cones. Part 5 will be the surface area and volume of a sphere. And Part 6 will be problem solving involving objects. Okay, after Part 6, you'll have a measurement review. So that's the formative assessment. You will have a curriculum review, which is a summative assessment. So 4 marks. And then you'll have the standard chapter quiz. So that's the summative assessment, again, for marks. Because this is the end of the end of Unit 3, you will also have a unit exam on Chapters 2 and 1 at the end of this. Okay, so let's get started. Part 1, Imperial Measures of Length. In 1976, Canada adopted SI units to measure length. However, construction and manufacturing industries continue to use imperial units. Many Canadians use imperial units to measure their height and weight. Do you know how tall you are? I'm about 5'11", 5'10", 5'11" in there. Centimeters-wise? Nope, no idea. Weight-wise, we also measure in pounds. Okay, I'm not sure how much I weigh in kilograms either. Okay, but anyways, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that's okay. It's still very common for most of us to use imperial units for those things. Okay? People have been measuring for thousands of years. Early tradespeople created their own measuring devices and units. For example, people measured the distance between 2 places by the number of days it took to travel from one place to the other. Over time, these units were standardized as imperial units, and relationships between the units were determined. Okay, so the imperial unit for measuring long distances is the mile. The length of 1 mile was first established as the distance a Roman soldier could walk in 1,000 paces. Okay, and 1 pace is 2 steps. Not a huge deal. Okay, so in the table, the term referent refers to something that is close to the desired unit of measure. So if we have a look at these imperial units, so there's an inch. The abbreviation is IN. Okay, and the referent, or something that's close, so if you look at the last knuckle on your thumb, okay, so that is about an inch-ish. Okay, so that's a referent. Okay, so a foot, okay, is another imperial unit of measure, so the abbreviation is FT. Okay, and the referent, so if you look at the size of your foot, that's about what a foot is. Wow, funny thing, huh? Okay, so now we have a relationship between units. So 1 foot is 12 inches. Okay, awesome. So the yard is another measure of length. Okay, so the abbreviation is YD. Okay, and so that's about if you stretch out your arm sideways, it's from the tip of your longest finger, usually your middle finger, to your nose. Okay, so that's your arm span. Okay. Now the units, 1 yard is 3 feet. And wait a second, if a foot is 12 inches, so 3 times 12 is 36 inches. So a yard is either 3 feet or 36 inches. Okay, and then we have the next unit is a mile. Okay, so it's abbreviated MI. The reference, so it is about walking in 20 minutes. That's about a mile. Okay, so 1 mile is 1,760 yards, or 5,280 feet. Hey, if I times that by 12, we could get a mile in inches too, but we're not going to, because that's just crazy talk. Okay, but that's the idea. So a version of this table is on your formula sheet, so yay. Awesome. Okay, moving along. So example 1, convert 7 yards to feet. Okay, so hopefully you have your table handy, or you can just back up to this page because it's all there. It's the same as what's on your formula sheet. So remember, 1 yard equals 3 feet. Okay, so 7 yards then. Okay, so actually let's set up the ratio. So 1 yard is 3 feet. So how many yards? So let's call it x. X yards in, oh, pardon me, my bad. Okay, so we want 7 yards to be how many feet? So x feet. Okay, and see, we set up this simple ratio, and we can cross multiply and divide. So 7 times 3 divided by 1. Okay, so if we end up with that, 7 times 3 divided by 1, that is 21 feet. Awesome. Let's do that for inches. Okay, so 7 yards. Okay, so let's see. 1 yard is the same as 36 inches. So then 7 yards would be how many inches? Okay, so again, we cross multiply and divide. So 7 times 36 divided by 1, that equals 252 inches. Ta-da! Okay, so now let's add an extra layer of difficulty here. So convert 62 inches to feet and inches. Okay. So, first things first, if we want feet, we're going to take the 62 and we're going to divide that by 12. Okay, because there's 12 inches in a foot. So this works out to 5.16666 repeating. Okay, so it's 5 feet. Okay, now what we have to do here is we're going to subtract that 5 off. So on your calculator, 62 divided by 12, get that number, then minus the whole number, minus the 5. So that leaves us with this. Now if we think of what the units have to be here, these are feet. 0.16666 feet. Well, the thing is, we want those into inches. So how many inches are in a foot? So we times that by 12 inches in 1 foot. Okay, so 0.1666 times 12, that equals 2. So this is 5 feet, 2 inches. Okay, does that make sense? I'm hoping so. That is a nice way of using your calculator for this. Okay, so I guess the other way of doing this is in 5 feet, there are 12 inches. There are 12 inches in a foot, so in 5 feet there are 60 inches. Okay, so then 62 minus 60 is 2 inches left over. Okay, so you have 5 feet, 2 inches. Okay, so that certainly works as well. Okay, so let's try the same thing with yards, feet, and inches. Okay, so if I have 62 inches, okay, we're going to always divide it by the biggest unit, so yards. So there's 36 inches per yard. So 62 divided by 36 is 1.72. Well, technically 7222, whatever. Okay, so there is 1 yard here. Okay, so we're going to subtract the 1. Okay, so this is 0.72222 yards. Okay, so what we're going to do is we want to turn that into the next unit. So we're going to turn that into feet. Well, how many feet are in a yard? Well, 3. So what we do is we take this 0.7222 and times it by 3. That's going to give us an answer in feet. So that works out to 2.16666 repeating. Okay, so that is now 2 feet. So 1 yard, 2 feet. So then we do the same thing again. We minus 2. So that's 0.166666. Now, this unit is now in feet. Okay, so then how many inches are in a foot? Well, times that by 12, and we end up with 2. So this is 1 yard, 2 feet, and 2 inches. Ta-da! Okay, so that's that one. So, there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So in example 1, we multiply by 3 to convert the measurement in yards to a measurement in feet. This is one type of proportional reasoning. Similarly, we use proportional reasoning when we divide by 12 to convert a measurement in inches to a measurement in feet. We also use proportional reasoning when we write and solve a proportion, as illustrated in the next example. Okay, so example number 2. Solving a problem involving converting between units. Ben buys baseboards for a bedroom. The perimeter of the bedroom, excluding closets and doors, is 37 feet. What length of baseboard is needed in yards and feet? Okay, so how we're going to do this is we just take our 37 feet, okay, and we're going to multiply that, okay, by, so 1 yard is 3 feet. And how we do this is we make sure that if the feet is, so 37 feet, we put the 3 feet on the bottom so that those cancel off. Okay, so this ends up to be, so 37 times 1 yard, so that's 37 yards divided by 3. So that works out to 12.333 yards. Okay, awesome. Now we're going to do that same thing we did last time. So we subtract all the yards. Okay, so that's 0.333. So I have 12 yards and then a little bit. So this is now in yards. Now how many feet are in a yard? So we times that by 3 feet in 1 yard. So you put the yards on the bottom, so now the yards cancel, and we end up with a unit that's going to be in feet. So 0.333 times 3 is 1 foot. So 12 yards, 1 foot. Awesome. Now B, the baseboard material is sold by the yard or portion thereof. It costs $5.99 per yard. What is the cost of the material before taxes? So here's the funny thing. Even though we only need 12 yards and 1 foot, in order to get all the baseboard that we need, we have to buy 13 yards. Okay, I guess more appropriately, we have to pay for 13 yards. They're not going to sell us 1 foot extra or give us that little bit extra. We're going to have to buy the whole thing. So we're going to have to buy 13 yards. So in each yard costs $5.99. Okay, so you just multiply those, and before taxes, that works out to $77.87. 13 by $5.99. Okay, $77.87. Fantastic. Now, of course, we live in Alberta, so to get the tax on that, we would times that by 1.05. However, if you lived in Saskatchewan or BC or pretty much anywhere else, you have a provincial sales tax as well. Some places have a combined sale tax, so just a one straight number. Anyways, we live in Alberta, so we times by 1.05. So after taxes, that would work out to $81.76. $81.76. However, for right now, it's saying before taxes, so $77.87 is how much we would have to spend. Okay, we can use unit analysis to verify conversion between units. For example 2, we can write the relationship in feet and inches as a fraction in 2 ways. So 1 foot is 12 inches, or 12 inches is 1 foot. So it doesn't matter which number's on top for right now. The fractions are called conversion factors. Each fraction is equal to 1. So we can multiply any number by the fraction and not alter its value, just its unit of measurement. Okay, I know what you're thinking. 1 divided by 12 is not 1, and 12 divided by 1 is not 1. But the thing is, 12 feet is the same, 12 feet. 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. So this fraction is 1, just with different units. Those are the same things. Okay, so if we're converting 136 inches to feet, we use the conversion factor with feet in the numerator. So we write, okay, so if we want feet, feet goes in the numerator. Okay, inches then goes in the denominator. And look, the two denominators, the units then cancel out. If those units cancel, the only unit that's left is feet. So we have 136 divided by 12 feet. So that is 11 complete feet, and 4 divided by 12. So 4 divided by 12 is 4. So 11 feet, 4 inches. All right, so example 3. Tyrell has 4 yards of cord to make friendship bracelets. Each bracelet needs 8 inches of cord. How many bracelets can Tyrell make? Okay, so we got 4 yards of stuff. Now, we know that from our formula sheet or that table in your notes there, okay, we know that 1 yard is the same as 36 inches. Now, what do we need our final unit to be in? Okay, well, we have 8 inches. Okay, so the idea is we want to turn the 4 yards into inches. So we want the inches on top. So 36 inches, okay, and then that is 1 yard. So see how the yard ends up on the bottom? So those are going to cancel. Okay, so the yards cancel. So 4 times 36. So that is 144 inches. Perfect. Now, we can do the same thing by saying 144 inches times, well, we have 1 cord equals 8 inches. Okay, so again, the inches cross off. Okay, and our units are now in cords. So 144 times 1 divided by 8. So that works out to 18 cords. So Tyrell can make 18 friendship bracelets. Okay, so use the unit analysis to check the conversions. Well, we kind of did that as we went, but if we said 4 yards, if we did it all in one step, times 36 inches per yard, times 1 cord equaling 8 inches. So watch what happens. The yards cancel, the inches cancel, so then we just use the numbers. Our only unit left is cord, or cords. So 4 times 36 times 1 divided by 8. Well, that's what worked out to 18 cords. Marvelous. Okay, and then last one. Example 4. Solving a problem involving scale diagrams. So on a map with a scale of 1 to 4,750,000, the distance between Seward and Anchorage in Alaska is 1 3/4 inches. What is the distance between these towns to the nearest mile? Okay, so what this means for us. So this is the scale. So that means that 1 inch is equal to 4,750,000 inches in real life. So 1 inch on the map is 4,750,000 inches. Now, look, we usually don't use scales like this on maps because, again, who's going to measure in like those kind of distances in inches? But on the other hand, it's good math for us. Okay, so we're going to figure out, okay, so 1 inch on the map is 4,750,000 inches, okay, in real life. Okay, so then 1 3/4 or 1.75 inches on the map is how many inches in real life. Okay, so we cross multiply and divide. So x works out to 8,312,500 inches. Pardon me, everyone. I'm so sorry. Okay, so we have all those inches. Okay, well, that's great, but let's be a little more realistic. Okay, so we have inches. So we know that 1 foot is 12 inches. And we also know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Okay, so notice how I did that. I converted to feet first, so the inches will cancel. Inches went on the bottom. And then I wanted the feet to cancel, so the feet then went on the bottom as well. So the only unit I have left is miles. So 8,312,500 times 1 times 1 divided by 12 divided by 5280. Okay, that's if we do all those calculations, X works out to 131 miles. Okay, between Seward and Anchorage. So 1 3/4 inches on the map works out to 131 miles in real life. Perfect. Okay, so I want you, that's it for part 1. I want you guys to practice this. It is section 1.1 in your textbook, starting on page 11. So remember, you can go right out of your textbook, or you can print off the questions from the workspace card. That way you can write all over them. Make sure that when you're finished, you show your teacher so they can check on your progress. Thanks, and see you next part.